So I think we're recording now. So, good morning, everybody who's listening. This is conversation with Mor Bergman, and this is Tel Aviv time now. What is it there? 9 o'clock more? Yeah?
Nine and nine.
Nine and nine, nine on a Monday. So for me, it's the first day of the week, but you're already into the week. And yeah, so I'm in Hamburg, you're in Tel Aviv, and we decided to talk about art, what makes us create. And I'm very grateful you said yes to the conversation. And just for people who want to know, we met in class in Israel, and there was a moment in class, yeah, where I will always remember it because for me it was very special. I have this idea about osteopathy being a temple in a temple, and there was a moment in class, yeah, that I just asked, yeah, just straight into looking into the glass. I said, "Who can draw me a temple?" And at that point, it was a temple on a temple, and you just stood up, walked to the to the drawing board, and then you were drawing a temple, and that was for me a beautiful moment in class, and then afterwards, yeah, I'll ask you again to actually draw it more like the way I wanted it, as if it's my vision to have the temple in the temple. And yeah, so I will also make add a link to the conversation so people can see your temple in the temple. And so that's how we met. And then because I want to talk to people about what makes them create, makes them make art or whatever creation, whatever meaning, whatever that means to create. I'm happy to have you here. So welcome, Moa.
Thank you very much, Peter. I'm very grateful for being here and talking to you um, about art and creation and osteopathy and whatever will come. I don't know.
Yes.
You will manage.
Yes, I will manage.
Yeah.
So listen, just tell people what do you, I mean, I know you're an osteopath and I know you have a child and you're married and live in Tel Aviv. That's all. But what can you say more about yourself? Why did you end up in osteopathy? And then we'll get into the art piece.
Sure. So my name is Mor Bergman and I'm 34 soon. And I was, or maybe still, it depends on how you uh, see an artist. If I was a professional dancer before I came to treat people. Um, Actually, I danced throughout my life since childhood, and then went to study professional dance for a few years. Became a freelance dancer. Practice many times of contact improvisation, which you know
Yes,
and
I
done.
know well.
Yes, would know well. And
30
I'm
years ago, we could have met. 30 years ago, we could have met doing contact.
30 years, maybe, yes, somewhere there. And um, well, contact improvisation is a very much of a
Hmm.
touchy dance
Yeah.
and about communication dance. Has many preferences that kind of look alike sometimes to a treatment,
Yeah.
actually, without saying it is.
Yeah.
Um, and also, I consider myself a nerd, a geek.
Yeah.
I I was always very curious about the human body and how it works. So I started my kind of more professional, not artistic way through Axis syllabus, if you know, it's kind of a method or not a method of dancers who they look into anatomy and they dance through anatomy and through healthy movement, um, and through their Pilates and through their
But can I
decided
ask you
to
just
deepen.
can I jump in? Do you know the method is based in body mind centering?
Of course, I know.
Yes. And
Yes.
how is that syllabus connected to it? Because I think
Okay, so I know I did many classes, like participated in classes of BMC.
yeah.
uh, um, as a BMC or as a contact improvisation inspired by BMC. I
Let me
know
just
many.
introduce just for the listeners.
Yes.
BMC stands for body mind centering, and it's a method developed by an American. She's actually a child therapist, yeah, Bonnie
Mhm.
Bainbridge Cohen, and she called her system. She's a Bobat therapist, and she called her system body mind centering because she's one of the first people who integrated movement, developmental
Developmental,
basically
yes.
child development and also organ work. So also for me, she was very important because actually looked at the organs in a very different way, in a much more active way in motion and also in child development. So what I do in osteopathy is also is very much inspired by her work. And there's a strong connection personally between Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen and the people who developed um, contact improvisation. So this is a whole cluster of people in the United States
True.
now. So just
And
that
the
people know. So
same way of seeing
yeah,
dance and body.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree totally. I can
So
say
keep
that.
going. You talked about you took classes
Yeah,
in
yeah. So
BMC.
I took classes of BMC and also I had one or two projects like dance projects as a dancer,
Yeah.
which the way to develop the material we actually used Bainbridge Cohen's book.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
We
yeah.
took scores from her work to develop the material, to develop the language of the dance work, of the dance performance.
Yeah.
So,
Wonderful. Yeah.
yeah, I'm familiar with that.
It's very I would call it very body and very experienced oriented. So it's a real method. So what's the connection to what you were doing with the protocol?
Um,
Is there a relationship between this protocol you were studying? You said you studied something that where you moved more from the artist dance side more into the health piece. Is there?
Yeah, so I think it's a kind of a natural movement from being a dancer, performance dancer,
Mhm.
a
Yeah,
freelance a person that uses his body or her body
yeah,
to show to other people to watch and to I don't know, express her or his feelings or the choreographer's feelings and
yeah,
thoughts through the body. Uh, to a kind of a non-performative, but still very artistic way
yeah.
of creation and of expressing with the body knowledge that I have accumulated before.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I guess that osteopathy was the logical
Yeah.
next step.
It sounds like just
And
for the benefit of everyone. Can you say it again what the name of this method is? And
which method?
you used the name before I
Oh,
interrupted.
axosyllabus, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, can you say just a little
Axosyllabus.
bit about it so that
Yeah, yeah.
it's not it I have not heard of it. It's so
Yeah, it's not a protocol and not a method. They call themselves researchers, like dance
yeah.
researchers, and they kind of insist of not having a method,
Yeah.
really. But in the end, like I say it from distance, in the end they dance and they look the same
Okay.
because they use the same um, principles and the same body knowledge. So it looks the
Sure.
same. Um, and basically what happens in this class is very similar. Each time they look for a part of the body, mainly if BMC works more in the physiological way.
Yeah.
I remember very much of having a class about a digestive system
Yeah. Yeah.
movement in
Yeah.
in Freiburg, I think, in one of the festivals I went for the CI. And
In Germany.
oh yeah, I've been there. I've been to many, yeah, all
I
around.
studied there. That was
In
my, I mean,
Freiburg.
I'm from the South. I spent a few
Oh,
years, I went to university there. And this is actually where I started doing contact improvisation.
well,
It's a
that's the
nice,
goal. I wanted to go to Freiburg so many years,
nice.
then I did it. Um, anyway, so axis syllabus is more musculoskeletal oriented when I was doing that, when I was participating. Maybe now they changed some, but
Uh,
I remember it as more. musculoskeletal oriented. So they take a part or a joint or a system and go deep into it, like very in the visualization, understanding the
Yeah.
biomechanics, understanding the anatomy, and through that, understanding and researching what movement is better for this area of the body and what can we um, achieve from using it correctly in the dance. And then
Yeah.
they kind of build some kind of a choreography and dance, you know.
Dancing.
It's a
I think
dance.
it's brilliant, and I will include a link to the method. I
Yeah,
think it's wonderful. I mean, it made you also. It sounded like you were. This was also for you a bridge between like being a dancer artist and
totally.
going more
I
into
remember the
health.
one class I went, like not class, workshop of a few days.
Hmm.
Going there, I have a clear moment of asking my teacher then, what is fascia? Like so not aware of anything, like what is fascia for Christ's sake? I don't know. And she sent me links afterwards and I was like so
Excellent.
sweet and tiny and
You
um
started. You
yeah,
started
yeah,
osteopathy then, no?
yeah, totally.
So that's what we do. No, what are organs? What is fascia? No.
Yeah, what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. This is
Can.
excellent. Yeah. No, I think it's also funny because when I the first time I had a book on osteopathy in my hands, basically was the Boral book from it was probably 88 or something. It just came out in English and it was a dance class. It was either a body mind. I think it was a body mind centering class. I studied with someone it's called Linda Hartley. She was one of Bonnie's students in England. So, and we were in class and we were doing like that stuff with the organ system. And then there was this book by an osteopath on the organ. So that's the first time I actually heard the name osteopathy. It was probably 87 or 88 or something in a dance class in Berlin. So this also, I mean, for me, was one of the invitations to go into osteopathy. And it's
I,
brilliant. I think it's interesting to look at the system while it's moving. It's much more interesting. I mean, it's
Muffin.
interesting while people are lying down, but to study it, it's wonderful. No?
It's I feel like it made me, I don't know, maybe you coming to osteopathy like with another vision already, with
Yeah,
another way of
yeah,
looking at body, at movement.
yeah,
And
yeah.
also, I want to say about the kind of similar experiences that we have, like in this bridging to osteopathy, that it's so logical that dancers will go to this kind of treatment,
Mm,
which is so holistic and
uh,
understanding, and let's say s- like the movement is sacred. It's
yeah,
not something that is scary or can harm you. The
yeah,
opposite. You want the body to move, and this is what we do in the treatment. I feel like
yeah,
it's only
yeah.
logical the dancers will go
Would come.
there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah. It's one of those places where things are actually like holistic. Yeah, you call it sacred. I would agree. I mean, I would say it's when someone is moving, yeah, everything is working together. That's the moment where there's the integration and the holistic activity. And of course, if you want to be more diagnostic, you can also see problems, and you can also, yeah, if you're more like artistic or just a normal human being, you just enjoy the movement and you experience it, no? And it's I think that's very important when you come to osteopathy, that you have already these experiences of what it means to be holistic. No,
Mhm.
it's an important. It's one of these topics in osteopathy. They're very hard to describe if you don't experience it.
True. This, and I would like to add also that you can also have the sense of improvising in
Hmm.
treatment,
Yeah,
also, and in dance or in
yeah,
life in
yeah,
general, in art. Like when you create something as an artist, you can either have something set in your mind and do it like
yeah,
very described, or you can improvise. Um, and I feel that improvisation is also a skill that you need to embody. and
Mm.
to feel very safe in it.
Yeah.
So also
Yeah.
in treatment, when something comes up and you have to improvise around it,
Yeah. Yeah.
then I felt it was very much
I, yeah. I,
something I had, and others maybe
uh,
less.
I totally agree. And it was also interesting teaching the class in Israel that most people came from other fields. In many countries, like in Germany, there's 90% of the people are physical therapists. Yeah? So
Mm.
they have good medical background, but for example, and in Israel, it was amazing how many people came from. I mean, you're a dancer, Michael Lehrer there's so many people who came from dance or engineering. Anat is an I mean, there's so many different arts and qualities who come into osteopathy just because people have these other experience. And if we then manage to embody it in osteopathy, I think that's wow. That's for me, that would be a miracle.
I hope so. It
Yeah.
will happen.
Yeah. So so let's try to be a little analytical for a second. Yeah. So
Let's.
what's the difference? Yeah. So like because we feel we are people who we can bridge these things. Yeah. You can go from improvisation into treatment and stuff. But is there a difference for you? Is there a difference between being an artist and being a therapist? Being is there something that's an interesting difference to you? Why I could also say why you're not a dancer anymore, why you're a therapist, because it's a very different field, no? Being on stage, yeah, and taking yourself back and basically be with one person or two people in one room and taking care of them, and opposed to being on stage and presenting something. It's a very different quality in life.
True. Well, so maybe I can say, like generally speaking, that somehow the performance felt just not correct anymore.
Yeah,
This is not the question, the core of the
yeah, no, but it's
question. Um, I feel that maybe the thing that connects performing or giving classes, let's say, uh, holding jam sessions in the CI.
mm-hmm,
CI is contact improvisation, yeah,
mm-hmm,
for
yeah,
the others, and being in the clinic and treating people one on one. The link that connects them is holding space,
mm-hmm,
creating space. For a long time, I had this conflict in myself. Uh, am I a dance? Am I an artist at all
mm-hmm.
by being dancer? Because I wasn't creating pieces myself. I was not a choreographer, and I
Mm-hmm.
was never intending to.
Too, okay.
Actually, I remember from uh, very early in my life that I I just didn't like it. I didn't like to create something that is going to be repeated
Mm-hmm.
as a piece of art.
Yeah.
Um, and for a long time it was a conflict because I said, okay, so I'm not an artist. I'm just a dancer, I'm just
Yeah.
dancing something that somebody else created.
Like an actor who's just
Yes,
basically
just
on stage doing what the
doing
director
what
would
I've
say.
been told. And for a long time it was also like, so I don't want to be told anymore what to do. Um, and 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 I found my my choreographers, my artists, to perform with people that created pieces that gave me space to improvise in a score, and that could kind of be similar
Hmm.
to hold a space um, for the audience to watch something that
Hmm.
is not repeated all the time. Is every time it's something new, and if I am not fully in the moment, in myself, authentic with myself, with the score, the space is not created. The environment
Hmm.
is not
Exactly.
created. This is the creation. So I'm a
Yeah.
co-creator, and also holding. jams and classes felt for me like the correct creation. I felt like I am doing something for the others. It's a group
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
people. It's not one person, but my actions will affect them.
Mm.
And this is actually the same in treatment. I see the person or I see the group. I feel them. I smell them. I touch
Mm.
them. I feel the environment, the connection between the people and or between the organs, if you
Mm.
want.
Yeah, please.
And and my kind of wrapping it together is the creation I feel. I feel like this is my creation in therapy.
So you're creating a moment, a space, and then in art, there would be basically art would come up. I mean, there would be something that would develop something. And
I
in,
want to say something very maybe it's more like abstract,
yeah, please.
but art is abstract sometimes. It's a answer to your question.
Yes.
When I was drawing, I was also painting and drawing.
Hmm.
Like you said, you met me and
Hmm.
we created the connection when I stood up and just walked to the board and draw like a Greek temple, with
But that was the
not
performer
wings.
part in you, know?
It was also performing. Yes,
Yeah, a
I
lot
know.
of artists they hate to be put on the on the spot, no.
I was like, okay,
But
let's
yeah,
do
okay,
it.
no problem.
Yeah,
I just
and
perform. No?
so I draw and I paint now these days. I feel like I would like to, but there is not enough space for that
Mm.
uh, in in the reality,
Yeah.
in our reality. But I used to create also paintings, and there are moments that what you paint, what you draw, is correct, is like on spot.
Once more, yeah.
Not because it's beautiful or aesthetic, it's like this is what has to be. This is what
Mm. Yeah.
had to be drawn now
Uh,
at this moment with this pencil on this paper, and you can feel it.
mm.
You can feel it on in the museums or sometimes on
Mm.
the walls. Some paintings are like that, and some paintings are like,
Mm.
oh,
No, yeah. Okay.
this is why I came to
Yeah.
see, not for the Mona Lisa, but for the
But for the
for the
the
one
drawing
next.
next to it, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes in therapy, this moment is also being created by
Mm.
the connection, by the action, by the concentration on this
This
and that organ, this moment of like clear knowing that you created now art.
out. Yeah.
Everybody can feel that.
Yeah.
I feel this is a very strong connection of feeling. It's very much of a feeling in
Mm.
me.
Yeah. And
Similar. Could be
and
also
is
contact
it
improvisation.
important for what the other person feels in that moment? Do you think it's something where we're not feeling the same like our patients, but they actually also feel that something is happening?
Um, well, it depends if the person is very body aware,
Hmm.
because sometimes our patients are not as bodily aware as us, which is okay. It's their
Mm.
own like way of living, and this is why they come to us for therapy. Um, but I do have some acknowledgements when I treat more aware people, like bodily aware dancers, yoga practitioners, maybe
Mm. Mm.
other therapists of osteopathy or any other
Mm.
uh, body work, and they tell me like, "Whoa!" I
Yeah.
remember I gave treatment for one teacher of mine, old teacher of mine, that was also very nice. And I held her fibula. There's
Hmm.
this technique of
Yeah.
BLT,
Guilty.
uh,
Yeah.
of fluids. I
Mm.
just hold the tips of the fibula and they'll just listen. I don't do anything.
Mm.
I'm passive. And she was
Yeah.
like, wow, yeah, I feel like you're moving the fluids inside my
Right.
finger, you know? She's an access syllabus teacher,
Okay, excellent.
one of
One
the,
of the, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And it
So
was like,
she's,
yeah, this is what I do, basically. So
yeah,
nice that you feel that. Most people don't. There
I get
is acknowledgement of those moments.
moments.
And can.
Yeah. So I think it's, and sometimes in osteopathy we have this question, where is the clinical truth coming? Is it coming from all the stuff we know because we're so smart, and is it in the lab work or something? But from what you're saying, it's like it's much more. But what I would also think it develops really in the situation, what we would call clinical truth, and it has a lot to do with this relationship, like what you were saying, like the holding of space. Yeah, so it's that relationship that actually brings out what we can do and what we have to do in treatment.
Definitely. I agree.
So can we talk a little bit more about that holding the space? Yeah? Because I mean, you're aware of that we have different approaches in osteopathy. Are we only holding the space? Are we interfering? Are we manipulating? I mean, what are we doing there? No, because when you're an artist, no, you're really forcing something. No, you have one feeling and then you're going for it and you're kind of forcing it. Yeah. Is there something that yeah would come up? What are you thinking about this?
What I think about it, well, I think that holding a space doesn't only mean to be passive in a treatment.
Mm,
I feel that it's also like very much of creating a secure space, and each person has a different sense of security and sense of being held. Some people, like you said in the class, that some people feel you from 1 meter of a
yeah.
distance, and some people has to feel you touching or maybe even pressing.
Yeah.
It's a conversation, and each holding of space is different. Some people can uh, be beneficial from do manipulating them.
Mm,
Well, I guess it's coming from early life or from experiences
yeah.
that each one has something else.
So you wouldn't make a
It's
big
about listening, maybe.
you wouldn't
It's
make a
about
big kind
listening.
of ideological difference between being just listening and having the body work
Listening is
for us.
a, listening is a very strong ideology
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it
Some
is.
people ideology is not listening at all to
No,
nobody.
no. That's another ideology. But if I understand you correctly, it doesn't have to be an opposition between listening and actually interfering and introducing impulses. Yeah? Because I do techniques who are supposed to stimulate, and of course they're activating. Yeah? They're supposed to be activating.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. I agree with you totally. There's no like ideology. I guess the ideology is again is something about communication and listening to what the crowd, audience,
Yes.
a, a person, a patient, or you and me now, what we need. Listening is a very powerful skill
Yeah.
and have to develop it. And it's also the art of listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So I wanna that's one question I will ask every artist on this little program, because also I don't know if you watched it. It's Elie Shamir is one of the famous, I mean, well-known painters in Israel, and he
yeah,
has that little TED talk. Yeah, what makes you great? Yeah? And you already like mentioned a lot of what he has actually also says about the feelings. But if you have like a minute or two, like you can take more. But if someone would ask you, yeah, what more, what makes you create? Yeah, because other people, they don't respond to life and situations by doing something creative. They do something else. So what makes you
yeah.
create?
I thought about it a bit before we met now, and the first answer for me was pain or missing something. like
Hmm.
something is missing or just missing doing something. Um, because I also feel like creation is shifting the energy, is trying to shift the energy in the way that I would like to. Or
Hmm.
I will just let I will give an example that I had a time in my life that I wasn't dancing when I
Hmm.
was a dancer and dancing all the time, and then I stopped because it was actually a decision of mine. It was not forced on me. I just stopped dancing because
Hmm.
I was like over it, and I felt like physically missing it, and also mentally,
Hmm.
and because dancing is also it's a physical activity that can it's good for us, it makes us
Hmm.
happy, and also it's a creational process. Even if it's not creating, it's
Yeah.
something to express your feelings, and I was missing both of those elements. And I remember drawing dancers very precise, like very every muscle, every movement, every like this, and many like I had a whole notebook of dancers. Only I didn't want to draw anything else. I tried,
Hmm.
landscapes, maybe plants.
No.
It didn't interest me. And I felt like this missing of something, like this pain of not dancing, not being able to express, shifted to this art field of painting.
Of painting. Okay.
And also going to like pain. Yeah, I know. I feel like sometimes putting a very emotional music or song and
Mm.
dancing to it, it's kind of elevate all the feelings and let it go. And this is what art does. It like brings us all the pain
Mm.
and feelings. And I guess most of the time is it's like bad feelings that you can't process on your own.
Mm.
You have to let go somewhere.
Yeah.
And and in continuation to that, I feel that nowadays it's also survival mode
Mm.
make me create. I don't know if
Okay.
it's like an artistic creation, but it's
Yeah.
finding the creativity in me in daily life
Yeah.
to survive.
So, so since you're an Israeli, yeah, can we talk about being an artist in Israel and a therapist in Israel?
Yalla,
Yeah, yeah, let's go.
yalla,
Okay.
let's
No,
do.
because let's do it. Wonderful. So, like for example, for me also being an artist, yeah, I didn't consider myself so much an artist, but whenever I have problems I cannot solve, I write. I write. It's more writing. It's poetry. Dancing was not the main art for me. Yeah, so it was for a while. I was happy being a dancer, but I didn't enjoy being so much on stage. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but I like to be on stage when I'm a teacher. Yeah, you saw me. I really I enjoy that
It is a
stage.
performance,
Yeah,
totally.
I do. Yeah, and so I totally connect to this, and I remember moments in the pandemic when I felt like I'm not allowed to express anything anymore. No, I felt so much under this like don't stay home, don't talk, don't feel like it, and it was really a hard time for me. Yeah? Not to feel like I can be a normal person. I'm very physical, so I cannot be physical. I cannot touch people. I cannot be an artist. So this was really, it came from the outside. So I didn't make that decision. So that was a really tough moment. And so just looking at, I mean, I've been to Israel a lot and also now, and just like being there and seeing the way you guys are doing, dealing with the situation. Of course, there's this question. So how is it? No, because art gives us this moment where we have these feelings and we're also focused on it, and it's kind of a connection to therapy. You know, art can be very therapeutic for us. Yeah. So yeah, how is that like? I mean, just waking up, not knowing are there sirens? I mean, the last weekend with are the hostages coming out, or are they not coming? Are they alive? How are they? I mean, it's so tense just from the outside. Sometimes I feel like it feels even worse when I'm just looking at it. When I was in Israel, it was much easier because I was in the feelings, in with the people. But it's crazy, the tension that builds up in the whole country, and it's so small. So is art and therapy? What's the role of art and therapy? I mean, there was a long introduction, but what is the role of art and therapy when you're in a constant war, when you're having all these fears and pains, basically? What is it?
Okay. Woo, that
Big
is
question. Yeah, okay.
big question. There's
Yeah, yeah, but
a lot about the generality of Israel and this
uh,
question and about me and this question. And I will start and let's see
yeah,
if
let's see.
going there. If not, so stop me and
Yeah.
direct me to the path. I must say that Israel was always a stressful place. Of
Mm,
course now, but it was always a stressful place.
yeah.
Um, and this stress made us, the Israelis, very elastic. And I don't know if elastic is the word, but we can manage a lot of things.
Yeah, it's elastic.
Um, but the past year and 4 months been a total roller coaster
Mm,
of emotions, and not only emotions, like sensations, because um, sirens and bombs falling. I had a missile falling, a missile, not like the ones that,
mm, yeah,
the army.
yeah,
Uh,
shoots down, but a real one. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. A missile fell 50 meters from my house on the 7th, October
Hmm.
7th, at 8 o'clock. And it fell on the house of my husband's friend from work, and she was in the hospital for like half a year later. It was real, it's not
Yeah,
like it's real.
yeah,
And, and I felt it was sensations. It was the
mhm,
smell
yeah,
of the bomb falling. It was
yeah,
the sound. It was the crumbs.
yeah.
Um, and it is something that is hard to take out of your body and is hard to forget. But in order to survive, you have to forget.
Mm,
And the way to forget it, each one has other ways to forget it. I had only this experience uh, of my friend's of our friend's house, and
mm,
she was injured very badly in her spine, and my husband's not nephew, cousin.
cousin. Yeah.
My husband's cousin was murdered along with his friends, 5 friends, in the Nova Festival the same day. For 1 week, we didn't know what happened to him and to any of his friends because, you know, I don't want to be like graphic, but they were
No.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is something that is very physical. It's not like being sad because something happened.
Mm,
Physical, it's
yeah.
sensation.
Yeah.
And as osteopaths and therapists, we know what happens to a body that is in stress
Mm,
situation for a long
yeah.
time. The stress reaction, the sympathetic system, the prolonged effects of that. And okay, now I shift to the good parts.
Yes.
that that
Thanks a lot.
yeah, yeah. And I think that many of Israelis, also me and others, the army itself and the government itself understood that in order to help and heal the society of Israelis, um, we have to create spaces for
Mm.
them to
Well,
heal through therapy and art. And that was actually one of the first things that happened. And actually, not the army and the government, it was civilians creating those spaces, uh, like mini festivals for the festival survivors.
yeah, I remember.
They
Yeah,
just came,
we did.
and therapists from all over the country came to participate pro bono. They were
Yeah,
not being paid, and
like
art.
we will dance again or something. The people
Yes,
who did like
these
we will
kind.
dance again. Yeah.
Yes. After a while, also the government and the army, they gave some kind of each soldier or soldier's wife can have, or husband, it doesn't matter,
Mm.
can have like so and so shekels to go
Mm.
to therapies because they understand the role of therapy and art in healing
Yeah.
in those kind of
Mm.
situations. And we all speak about the the role of these areas
Mm.
in healing the society.
It's very interesting. I knew it was going on, but didn't know that there was such a collective understanding that we need art and we need therapy to go through this, and not only holding together, but we need to process it, and we cannot do it alone.
Yeah, I guess also I hear it more because I am around amongst
Yeah,
artists
yeah,
and therapists, but there is acknowledgement also that the therapy has to be done, and physical therapy, not only
only,
speech
yeah, yeah,
therapy.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Physical therapy. Um, I wonder if that answered the question.
That's part of it. Yeah,
Part of it.
there's one a little maybe more piece I would ask you. So does also like, for example, drawing or being if- in therapy is also this also is this also a time where you can actually more relax and be focused? Like, because a lot of that stuff, what's going on, it
Mm.
makes us really like think and feel about everything, the big picture. There's all those people who are there, who are fighting. I mean, is then being doing art and being in therapy actually one of those moments where you feel like I can just be with myself and my feelings and one other person? Is that also a healing moment for you then?
It is. It is definitely.
Yeah.
Um, I feel it very well when there's times that I don't treat for some reason, and I feel like all the thoughts from outside and feeling they just like coming into my head.
Yeah.
And also, I will add something more personal about myself that I gave birth to my first child 2 months after the war started.
Oh my
And
God. So you
yes,
were pregnant.
I was
When
pregnant. I was
okay.
7 months pregnant. My husband, he was going to the military, to the army, like many,
Yeah.
and I was at home alone and we were lucky because he could go out for the birth.
They allowed him to come
Some
in.
couldn't.
Yeah, I
Some
heard some
women
people were
they gave birth alone without their
yeah.
husband, or maybe he was dead. I don't know. Oh my God. And I was lucky about that, and also he could stay with me for a few weeks after. I was very lucky. But it also the small space that we created for the baby,
Yeah.
and that afterwards I had to be focused on living with my baby. It made me heal faster, I guess, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it was just
Yeah.
how you say it in English, like you push away,
Yeah.
neglect
You neglect. Yeah. Yeah, you
the
neglect or you just deny or something. Yeah.
deny. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
denying the situation because I had to be there for my baby. I had to create space for my baby to grow
Yeah.
up healthy and in his
Were you
soul.
yeah. Were you there in class when we talked about that bubble? The
Yeah, yeah,
mother?
yeah. And the
Yeah.
trauma phase.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that
The
something you were really like very much aware in that situation that you're you're creating your bubble for our
Yeah.
child.
It
Yeah.
was about I was creating that bubble. There is it also when you were teaching this trauma technique, I remembered of this I think it's Nancy Stark Smith maybe she
Mhm.
was talking
Just for
about
everyone, she's one of the founders of contact
concept
analysis. Yeah.
improvisation. She is also she created a space that is called underscore and
Yeah.
also practiced in Israel. And
Yeah.
there is the skinosphere
Yeah.
and kinosphere.
Yes.
And this is something that I all the time I think about in therapy and
Yeah.
also in life sometimes that there is this skinosphere of the
Here.
person
Yeah.
and the kinosphere. And when we practice what you suggested about the trauma and holding the
Yeah.
bubble, it was like the kinosphere of the person.
Yes. I
And
actually think that when we leave the bubble of the mother, whenever slowly that happens, that's kind of the rest we'll take with us, is because a lot of people have this feeling of embeddedness, and I call it embeddedness because that's one of the words, because they feel like they're held by something. Yeah? And some people, if they don't have it, it's very difficult for them. They feel wherever they are, they're lost. They're lost
it's
in the
hectic.
relation.
It's like
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, they don't feel like they're held somehow, and it's a very
everything is
basic
coming in,
sense.
going out.
Yeah, yeah, and they're not easy to treat. So I think that that experience, like with the bubble, and yeah, you are because you're able now to give a bubble to someone else. Now that means you
Yeah,
have to feel your own bubble. You have to be able to feel your own bubble.
true. And also
Yeah,
to not make the merge
yeah, yeah.
is something very important. The bubbles.
Yeah. So because this is, when I do this and also when we did it in class, it's all based in using imagery. Now we are like we need art basically to express that. Did you feel like this is a good way to work with it, like as a therapist, yeah, using these images and this could be helpful for people?
Yes, yes, it could be helpful. I guess that it could work only if the therapist itself, himself or herself, is able to imagine, like you said, and to
Right, yeah.
visualize and to have
Yeah.
this abstract um, ability.
Yeah.
Because this is also what I think is making a therapist, if he's an artist or not, if he's able to imagine this kind of spheres. I could see in class
Yeah. You could
who
see. What could you
I
see?
could feel and see who is less connected to the
Hmm.
artistic form of
Yeah.
osteopathy
Yeah.
and more analytic
Yeah.
or
Well, yeah. So maybe as a last question, if you don't mind. So what could be I mean, because that's kind of what my feeling is. We would benefit a lot in osteopathy from having more of this artistic energies in osteopathy. Is that do you have any thoughts on that? Because this is kind of the motto of my the whole the bubble of this whole conversation. Like
true.
we should be more creative in osteopathy and not be. For me, creativity is also the opposition of fear. Yeah, that because people are very much afraid of, like, a lot of people would say like you're out of the box, and I don't know. I would say I'm in the bubble. I don't know. I'm not out of the box. I'm creating osteopathy, and it's like it's just maybe it's different, but it's just a different creation, and I
I
think it's
wonder, maybe I have a question for you. It's
yeah.
very Israeli thing to do, to ask
Yeah, I know.
question. Um, how that goes along with combining osteopathy with the big temple, because the big temple is maybe maybe I see it wrong, but or other
Yeah,
than
no,
you, like if you want to be more in relation to the big temple of medicine, then you maybe need to not be as creative.
yeah. Yeah, but is that the question?
Yeah, it's like it's
Yeah, yeah.
contradicting.
Yeah,
I
yeah, but
try to understand.
that's the little secret I didn't tell you. But for me, the big temple is not. I mean, I spent 10, 12 years in university between like being 20 and 30 basically. And I had the most wonderful human beings and teachers there. So for me, the temple is not medicine. It's not science in a small world. For me, the temple is this big tradition. I mean, you can start it with the first universities in Spain, in Salamanca, and going. I mean, there's a whole description if people are interested of what I would call the free osteopathic or the free university, and it's partly what I experienced at university in the 80s. There were these really like amazing open people, so there was space for art. I had a teacher, he was basically always talking about art and architecture and painting. And I studied religious studies, and so the university, the big temple I'm talking about it. That's the temple that is totally open to all fields of experience, by definition, yeah. And it's not ideological. It's basically where art can come in, religion come in, emotions come in. There's only one rule in the big temple that you have to be in contact with people and you have to be in a discourse. That's the only rule. Everything is allowed in that big temple, and everything is welcomed, but nothing can actually dominate the atmosphere
So
inside the
maybe you say that curiosity is the big temple.
Yes,
And one of the
curiosity.
pillars of the big temple is being curious to
Yes,
whatever comes and
yeah,
just explore it
yeah.
with others.
So yeah, boredom, yeah, is horrible for the temple. Fear is bad, yeah. Censorship, ideology, all these things that make us not feel what we are, yeah, and not and also then disconnect from other people. So definitely curiosity. If yeah, you have a child now, what drives a child? No, it's they are really curious.
Very curious
It's
and
unbelievable, no?
very enthusiastic about everything.
Excellent. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's this one expression, someone who studied children a lot, and he says when children start to walk, it's their first love relationship with the world. No, they are so open. They wanna. There's no judgment. Basically, you cannot survive as a child if you have these judgments. No, you have to be open to everything, and you have to explore it. No, it's exploration. It's like curiosity.
Curiosity and exploration.
Yeah,
If you can, if you can continue that through life of a grown-up, then you're
yeah,
an
yeah.
artist, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of what I would want us to have in osteopathy be. And there's amazing people who are exploring, and I just think we have to be a little less scared that there's something bad about it. I think it's like we can be very much creative.
I agree.
So
Agree
yeah,
very
so
much.
more. Thanks a lot for this wonderful conversation.
Wow, thank you, Peter. It was whew,
It was
nice.
amazing, no?
Yes, I really enjoyed talking to you. It was
Excellent. Yeah.
also opening channels for creation.
Yes. So yeah,
Yeah,
as always, yeah, I like to say, stay safe, stay strong. You have to be strong in this world. Stay as wonderful and beautiful as you all are.
thank you. You
And
too.
yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I will keep going with the conversation. And good luck to you, your family, and everyone else.
Thank you, and have a great, great week going.